What they do, what it is, this is Orion, aka Brass Balls, here for another installment of Deep Dive Tape Stash. Before we take this splash into it, please make sure you subscribe to Orion Hip Hop. That is the YouTube channel where you can peep previous episodes of Deep Dive Tape Stash along with dope music from yours truly, Orion. Now, without further ado, let's take this splash into the Hudson River and really go into this shit rugged and raw. This is a PMD single that was released in 1996, year of our Lord. I was in 7th grade, y'all. This joint was a banger. I loved the video. That's what put me onto it. I remember late night watching it on Yo MTV Raps and knowing, yo, I gotta get my hands on that joint. PMD was somebody I was aware of because of EPMD, of course, but I really didn't follow his career that much until this point. When this single came out, I was a huge fan of the sound of the video and everything, so I actually copped this on CD first. The single, I copped it on CD because, you know, back in them days, you went to Specs, Sam Goody's, wherever it was you were, and you only had so much money. And I remember buying Mobb Deep's Hell on Earth, Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire, and the PMD Rugged and Raw single all at the same time. I got all three of those at the same time, so I had just enough to get single, and I decided to get this one. Now, the one thing I'm gonna knock on this shit is the fact that it don't got no instrumental. That was a big knock for me, man, because I was really looking forward to flowing over this beat, man. This beat was produced by none other than Adolf Aguilar. If you don't know the brother, you better do the science, do the history, because this guy is responsible for a lot of bangers. So I had this on CD, didn't have the instrumental. That was a letdown, but the original and remix of Rugged and Raw is very dope. PMD flows effortlessly through this. And on the remix with Das Effects, the way them brothers bounce off of each other is so ill. I had this on CD, so I saw this tape available online, decided to cop it, and unfortunately I didn't read the details of the description, and this one came back broken in pieces, and I can't let that fly in the collection. So, you know, your brother had to get out the glue gun, had to get out the chopper, had to cut that up, make it right, put in the little extra spine, you know, rehabilitation in full effect, put this tape back together. You've seen me do it before, and I wanted to capture the process again for those that haven't. I did this before on Remedy tape cassette that I had purchased. This it came to me in the same beat up fashion, and I restored it like I'm restoring this PMD one. You know, there's actually another thing that ties these two brothers together, PMD and Remedy, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But anyways, the sample on this track is so ill. Shout out to Adolf. He really did his thing with this. I am not going to sample snitch. I'm sure you could possibly do your own research and find it on whosampled.com, maybe, possibly. I haven't checked myself, but I actually have the record that they sampled for this track, and really masterful stuff, man. Shout out to Adolf Aguilar, man. His beats is crazy. One thing about Rugged and Raw is that in the very beginning, Das Effects is already saying 1997, but they actually released this in 1996, and that's a dope trick for any MCs out there. If you're gonna release a song and shout out the year, you're better off shouting out the year that is coming rather than the year that you're actually recording this on. It's just, you know, a little trick of the trade, you feel me? So, but try to avoid saying years and all that. Anyways, the scratching and the cutting that is done on Rugged and Raw is also masterful, but that was done by DJ Scratch. And something that occurred to me while I was doing this is, any of y'all remember when KRS-One and Big Daddy Kane did their versus battle? Kid Capri was DJing for KRS-One, DJ Scratch was DJing for Big Daddy Kane, and one of the most hip-hop things that went down in that battle is DJ Scratch wanting to make it about him battling Kid Capri, and the drama that unfolded there was kind of crazy to see. That's some real hip-hop shit right there. You know, two elite DJs could have gone at it that night, but cooler heads prevailed, and, you know, they didn't, but that would have been dope to see. it had Kid Capri wanted to get in it. I think it caught Kid Capri off guard. I don't think DJ Scratch told him that was gonna happen or that he was gonna do that. I don't know. This is just from the outside looking in. Anyways, going on back to this tape and the other tracks that are featured on it is a track called Leave Your Style Cramped. I really dig this one. It got that grimy feel to it. It's got like this beeping thing going on that reminds me of like some life support system, and the cutting on the record, I think it was done by Scratch as well, is really dope. But the track was produced by Charlie Marrota, and this is somebody that I spoke about previously on the Remedy Deep Dive Tape Stash episode that I did. So that was an earlier episode I did in which Charlie Marrota was an engineer that had some production credit on that Remedy tape. Well, this dude has worked with EPMD for a long time, did a lot of work with other members of the Hit Squad such as Das EFX and K-Solo and all that. And yeah, man, this production was tight, man. So I really like the way PMD flowed on this one as well. And you could tell PMD was definitely going for a much more hardcore influence on his music going forward after his departure of EPMD. It wasn't so much the funk driven production that we're used to hearing him with the EPMD stuff. I did one of my earliest episodes was actually on another PMD single from the same album, Business is Business, called It's the P, in which it was It's the P 97 remix that wasn't included on Business is Business, but you know, it was a dope track nonetheless. And y'all could peep that episode of Deep Dive Tape Stash. It's in the YouTube catalog, so go to the YouTube Orion Hip Hop channel so you can check out that episode as well. Business is Business was a great album in my opinion, and you know, tracks like Rugged and Raw and so many watered down MCs and so many other dope joints. Even Cool Cat was a great track on Business is Business. It made me Rugged and Raw made me buy the Business is Business album, and then the Business is Business album got me more curious about PMD's solo stuff, so I bought Shady Business. But I wasn't too impressed with Shady Business, and I was always wondering what the turmoil between EPMD was, what led to the breakup. I read countless articles on The Source, and I remember watching Rhyme and Reason, the documentary, and they briefly touch on it, but they don't really get into the finite details of it until this Beef documentary got released, and that kind of went into more detail as to what happened between the two brothers. But Shady Business, I don't know what happened with PMD in the recording of that album, but I did not like the way he was particularly flowing on the majority of the tracks on that album. The beats were dope in some regard, and some kind of missed the mark, but I just feel like he completely revamped his sound as far as an MC and his delivery with Business is Business. And in my opinion, if you cop Shady Business first, were disappointed, and you should have copped Business is Business, because I think he completely redeemed his sound from there. PMD is very much still doing his thing, and I remember with Business is Business wondering, like I said, what's the beef with EPMD? But within a year's time, they got back in business and they released an album together that was phenomenal, had monster joints on it, and yeah, it's a must-have if you're a true hip-hop head like yours truly. And I've never been to an EPMD show, but if I do go to an EPMD show, I better see PMD perform Rugged and Raw. I know it's not an EPMD track, but this is possibly hands down my favorite PMD solo track is Rugged and Raw. And I would hate to go to an EPMD show and not see him do this joint. This joint is a banger through and through, and even gets me in the mood to play basketball for some reason. Maybe it's because around the time that I got this, you know, that's what I was doing, man. I was a park rat, you feel me? Now there's another joint on this that I want to talk about that is a remix, a Solid Scheme remix to the PMD track Rugged and Raw. It's a dope remix. It's definitely like very low key and very much about, you know, just like kind of like a ride out vibe. So it's not bad at all. Solid Scheme is a talented duo made up of Chris Charity and Derek Lynch. They are most notably known for working with Das EFX. They were like their in-house producers. If you look at those First 4 DOS Effects albums, got a lot of solid scheme production on them. Very dope. And I just wonder why they didn't work with a lot of other artists. Why they didn't shop around to even more artists? Because other than DOS Effects, PMD, they worked with MOP, but there's not much other production from them out there. However, one of them brothers, Derek Lynch, did go on to work with Ice Cube, Cam, not Cam, Killer Cam, but Cam, K-A-M, from the West Coast. And even got credits with the rock band The Korn. But that was primarily because of his work with Ice Cube on the song Wicked. And that Wicked was sampled, I guess, from Korn, or maybe they interpolated it or something. I don't know. I meant to go check out the Korn track Wicked, but I've been caught up. I got a lot of things going on right now. I just dropped an album, Free Bass, a shameless plug. Go check that shit out. So your boy got a lot of things on the plate. You feel me? So yeah, man, this PMD track, like I said, man, it stands ground for me as one of the illest hip hop joints. Not just in the PMD catalog, but I think it's a go-to for late 90s hip hop. You want that real substance of late 90s hip hop, this is a go-to track. I wish this would have had the instrumental, but now with AI, it don't matter. I can make anything an instrumental nowadays. Well, I think it is available on YouTube, the instrumental and everything. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to all of y'all, man, peeping this. Shout out to all the people out there in the boondocks. Feel me? I'm gonna leave you with that. This has been a dope deep dive tape stash. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Peace.